and good luck.
Now, Tom Baker remains the most iconic Doctor Who of them all to a generation of devoted fans. In fact, he was recently voted Britain's favourite ever Doctor. Of course, his space-time adventures, particularly his encounters with the Daleks, were a little, well, shall we say, clunkier than Christopher Eccleston's. For a start, in those days, Daleks were definitely more vertically challenged when it came to stairs. And Tom's here now. It's great to see you again, Tom.
It's great to see you again. It's so nice to see you. Yes.
Oh, you're never, I mean, that Doctor Who will never fade away. As recently as last year, you were voted, you know, the best, the most iconic, the tops.
Yeah, it was the nicest job I ever had.
Yeah.
But it wasn't all, you know, those are kind of funny things. Sometimes the power of nostalgia is really rather touching. Quite recently, because I'm often over here in London, I was walking along Oxford Street, and a man about 36, 38 or something like that, the generation who would have watched me, because now I'm completely employed by people who watched me when they were children. Yeah. And this fellow was very astonished to see me, and he said, the way people would often do, he said, "Tom Baker." I said, "Yeah." He said, "Tom Baker." And I thought, I wonder, is he going to get started soon? And he said, I said it again, "Tom Baker." And I said, "Yes." And he said, "Do you know," he said, "when I was a kid," he said, "you know, I was in a home in North Wales." He said, "Nobody wanted us, you know. No one cared about us. No one wanted us. And you made such a difference on Saturday nights."
Oh, wow.
Aww.
And
wow.
I went to take him up on this, and he couldn't speak. Oh. And off he went, yeah. Oh. So sometimes, you know, there were sweet, very sweet, serious things about that.
Well, somebody, quite a young colleague today, she's only about 23, 24, was thrilled that you were coming on, and she was probably peeking out at you from behind a desk when you came in an hour or so ago. And she said, the thing about Tom Baker, she said, he makes you feel all warm. And speaking as a 50-year-old man, nearly, I know what she feels, because I feel exactly the same. When I saw you coming in just now and sitting down, I thought, it's great, it's Tom, it's Tom, and you just exude this fantastic sort of feeling of...
I mean, I noticed you're wearing a scarf, which isn't... I mean, and of course, your Doctor Who always wore a scarf, so was the Doctor Who scarf your idea then? That long
well, I think it was my idea partly, and then also the designers, and then it grew and grew and grew like all sorts of things, yes. But that's in a museum. Where they're going to put me, of course, because I've left my body to the BBC as well as my soul. And
that was in the contract, wasn't it?
That's right, it was in the contract. So they're going to give me a coat of varnish and put me in the Doctor Who Museum in Blackpool.
We have a virtual example of what it might look like, actually. You're on merchandise now. You know, they've actually replicated the scarf that you mentioned. There's K9. There's you actually in the TARDIS peeking out. We'll do a close-up of that.
And that's coming back again. I mean, the K9 and the girl,
it's coming back into
Elizabeth Sladen is coming back into the show.
Elizabeth Sladen?
Yes.
I used to fancy her rotten.
Well, you would be staggered, because I saw her, not many, I dream about her, of course, a lot, but I saw her not long ago, and she has not changed.
Yes.
People gasp, she's so beautiful. In fact, people all went like that. They went, and they sucked all the oxygen off the stage, and two of the actors fainted. Yeah.
Well, look.
Oh, come on, wasn't that? But thank you anyway.
You're here because, and I love, this is just so perfect. I mean, you've had a sort of renaissance because of the Little Britain voiceovers.
Yeah.
And we're going to show a couple of those for a very good reason in a minute, because the reason you're here tonight is you are now the voice of BT texting. It's a new system, and I think this is fantastic. Means that I can text a BT landline, okay, not a mobile, but just your phone at home. Text it, it will receive the text, but when you get home, the message light's flashing, you pick it up, and your voice reads out the text.
Right.
I've got it, haven't I? That's it.
Absolutely. So, a little while ago, because this happened yesterday, my wife rang me up. I have the most amazing wife, you know. I mean, obviously, she's not quite perfect, otherwise she wouldn't be with me. So she's a bit odd in that way.
Yes.
But otherwise, she is amazing.
Right.
And she said to me, "Darling," I knew something was up there. I thought, Christ, darling, after all this time. She said, "Darling, thank you for that sweet message." I said, "What sweet message?" She said, "You know, where you quoted Jack Nicholson about, you said, 'Thinking about you makes me feel more alive.'" I said, "I didn't send you a message. It was a friend of mine who texted her."
And your voice.
My voice came down.
Fantastic.
He just texted it. She believed it.
We ought to explain, you spent 11 days in a recording studio recording not so much words, but vowel sounds, consonants,
yes,
all
yes.
the sounds in English that a human voice can make.
Yes.
And the computer will select those not randomly, but when it reads the text, put it together in a sentence. OK, well, what we've got here, just to see how well this works, we spent all day doing this. We've got a clip of you, your voice, in a scene from Little Britain. This is one of the Daffod scenes. Now, this is how you actually read it for the series, and then we're going to have exactly the same clip with your text voice reading the same words.
All right, go on.
That the computer selected. So we'll see the difference. So this is the real voice as recorded for Little Britain. OK, well, that's in our minds. Let's now play the computerised version, the text version. That's pretty good, isn't it?
Yeah, too.
That's pretty good.
It is when you consider that they were clever, the phonetics people, because I was reading rather nonsensical stuff. Well, you can imagine, you know, they put up all this nonsense, and I was simply brilliant. I mean, when it comes to nonsense, boy, I'm in a very top league. You know.
Give us an example of the kind of things you were having to say then.
Well, yeah, I mean, you might have to say something for which they would break down the sound. So I might say something quite ordinary, like, Sally has just discovered that her lover has a wooden leg. And as he's 6'3", this makes him rather rigid in bed. She's asked him to remove his leg, but he says it upsets his balance. And she wants to know what to do because she finds that his leg is coming between them.
I love it. Anyway, 11 days of that kind of stuff.
Tell you what, I mean, 11 days of that kind of stuff, but isn't it fantastic that it is so recognisably your voice? That, I mean, even that mixture of random phonetic sounds just like you. And it's interesting the point you made earlier about the fact that you are now employed by the kids who used to hide behind the sofa when you were on a Doctor Who. Presumably that includes Matt and Matt Williams
yes,
and David,
Matt Lucas and David Williams nudged me because we were on the radio to begin with, and they nudged me in that direction, you know, because I mean, some people give me credit for things that it's not fair because their writing is very careful and they watch it very carefully and they are amused by it. But I owe those boys a lot. They pushed me in that direction. And it's reassured other people, you know. So now it's amazing thing is the power of comedy. So now I'm in Little Britain. And people want me to play Uncle Vanya in Chekhov. That's very nice. And to do, say, a commercial for McDonald's, you know, burgers.
I
always remember
films about Buddhists.
I always remember there was a fantastic sketch in Dead Ringers when John Culshaw rang you at home in his persona of you. And it was incredibly funny. It really was. Do you remember that? I mean,
yeah, well, that did me some good as well, you see, because, you know, it was nice that the young people go on. I mean, all comedy of adults, of course, is derived, really, from their childhood. I mean, Reeves and Mortimer, who are sort of friends of mine, especially Vic, you know, I recognise all their comedy, from
Harry
the
Worth.
Three Stooges, Harry, all the thing. And then they sift it and then they pitch it their way, you know. And so when I'm asked to do things now, you know, directors sometimes say, now this is how I want you to do this scene. And this always shocks me deeply. I say, what do you mean this is the way you want me to do this scene? What did you get me for? I mean, what did you get me for? I only do it, you know.
I do it my way.
I do it my way, really.
Well, look, let's
try someone else.
Because it's funny and very interesting, and our guys have worked so hard getting this together. Here's another Little Britain clip. Again, this is you in the original voiceover done strictly for the programme. OK, and while it's fresh in our ears, let's have the text version. Doesn't work quite.
I think all we can say is it's still recognisable.
Yes.
Yeah, actually, there was a kind of hiccup on that one, wasn't there? On Adder, Black Adder.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, we'll hear this on. We put one together. This is just an audio one, because obviously you're going to be giving bad news. I mean, whether you like it or not, people get dumped by text. So we put that together with the thought of, say, Chantel being this person's other woman, and this is how this came out. So you could get home and find this on your answer phone.
I'm going out with Chantel now. You're dumped.
It's pretty good, isn't it?
Did I say that?
Well, yes. Well, you did by text.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That gave me quite a shock, yeah.
Anyway, it's really lovely to see you again. You're living in France now, aren't you?
I am, yes.
Yeah, lovely.
Oh, it's amazingly dull. Yeah. It's amazingly dull, yeah. I think it's all a kind of dream, you know. I think that all the Brits down in France, they kind of like, they watch old things of Richard Bryars and Felicity Kendall, and they're looking for the good life down there, yeah. And they have, you know, Jack Russells and horses on hillsides, and and there's an awful lot of trading of back copies of the Daily Mail. It's pitiful, really. And everybody's talking about Marks and Spencers and Waitrose. You know, people say, God, I'd give anything for a bit of Marmite on toast. Well, apart from that, it's fascinating.
Expat life.
We'll let you go back to your private health. It's lovely to see you, Tom.
All right,
Thanks
it's
so
really
much for coming
lovely
in.
to see you.
Goodbye, everyone. Goodbye.
Thank you, Tom. Fantastic. Now, what on earth was Jade Goody doing this week in a lay-by on the A11 trying to drum up some passing trade? No, not that. She's a good girl, is our Jade. She was reporting for us on one of East Anglia's hidden gems.
On the A11.
Listening to this will be quite a lot of people who watch us on satellite down in southern Europe, you know. And they say that we meet them sometimes. They say they get a real sense of Schadenfreude. You know, they know that we're freezing our asses off. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. They say, yeah, well, I think I'll leave it there. All right,
Was
Nikki.
that meant to be a gag?
No, it's what's called a gaff, not a gag. All right, Nikki. Nikki?
I'm
Sorry.
still